All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, Jacksonville Jaguars team owner Shad Khan didn't want to do it, but Urban Meyer left him no choice but to terminate his beleaguered head coach. Now, Meyer was in his first season with the Jaguars, and aside from sporting a 2-11 record, he never gained the trust and the respect of the men in that locker room. Now, we all know about the shortcomings of Meyer that he has had since he took over in Jacksonville, which to me was a clear sign that he never adjusted to life in the National Football League. Meyer is accustomed to being the big cheese in college, but it's different in the NFL when you're dealing with players who have $1 million contracts. And in most cases, they make more money than their head coach. Now, part of me believes that Meyer was content to be retired, but Shad Khan gave him so much money that it was simply too much for him to pass up on. Now, it was inevitable that this was going to happen because honestly, I questioned this move from the jump. And you look at all of the off the field issues from Meyer, whether it was getting into it with your veteran wide receiver Marvin Lewis, the situation with you're hiring Chris Doyle, the former strength coach at Iowa. After the loss of Cincinnati, you staying in Ohio, and while your team flies back, and then the video where you looks like you're allegedly groping a young lady, and there's so many other things. Jacksonville, as a franchise, got fined for excessive practices in the offseason, you name it. So the bottom line is this was inevitable. And to me, I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it. This fiasco falls into the lap of Shad Khan because it was him and Trent Baalke that made the move to bring Urban Meyer in. And of course, you know what? It's one of those where you bring in a college coach, and I know that some people are going to look at it and say, well, some college coaches have had success in the NFL, which is very true. But, in Meyer's case, he was never even an assistant in the NFL, and he's an older head coach, meaning he's really set in his ways. Typically, it's the younger guys who either have had past experience in the NFL as an assistant, or they're able to adjust and adapt a little bit quicker. I know that people are going to bring or possibly bring in Pete Carroll to the mix, but remember, before Pete Carroll took over at Seattle, and of course, he had that stellar run at USC collegiately. He did have a previous life in the NFL, first as a head coach of the Jets, as well as being the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. So there was some understanding there. But, nonetheless, this simply was doomed to fail from the beginning for Meyer and the Jaguars. Now, you ask yourself, what's next for the Jags? For me, I want to see how this team is going to play out the rest of the regular season. They should have an additional boost of energy due to the fact that the distraction is no longer there. They have the interim head coach in Darrell Bevel, and so far all of the players have been saying the right things about Darrell Bevel as a coach. So that should definitely play into his favor. And these guys are auditioning for jobs. They're auditioning for their next head coach, and some of these players might be with other teams next year. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, the next head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars has to be able to develop Trevor Lawrence because, again, Lawrence was the first overall pick in this year's draft. He is the future of this franchise. And I think Trevor Lawrence has the potential to be a solid NFL quarterback if he is put in the right situation, if he's put with the right organization. And the things for the Jags, they have to find a way to cultivate his talent. Now, some of the names that you're definitely going to hear, in my opinion, to be potentially be the next head coach of the Jags. Doug Peterson, the former Philadelphia Eagles head coach, Eric Bieniemy, the current offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, and even Darrell Bevel. I think Darrell Bevel has an opportunity in front of him for the remainder of the regular season, these last 4 games, to audition for the job. And let's see how the players rally towards him over these last 4 games. How these players make the adjustments to him being the big shot, we'll have to wait and see. But I think these 4 men will definitely be in the mix to be the next head coach of the Jaguars in 2022. Now, you ask yourself, for Jacksonville as a whole, will they be able to turn it around as a franchise? They've only had one winning season since 2008, and they've lost at least 10 games in 10 of their last 11 seasons, including this year. So, this hire is going to be very important because you have to find a guy who's going to come in there and get things turned around. So, we're going to wait and see who that person is going to be. Now, Will Meyer coach again in the NFL? I don't think so, because it's one of those where, you know what, he brings too much baggage to the table at this point in order to succeed in the NFL. Will Meyer again coach at all? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think Urban Meyer could potentially coach again collegiately. It's a situation where, you know what, he's a guy who was born to wear a whistle, and he was born to wear a whistle at the collegiate level, just not at the NFL level. Things are totally different. One of these colleges could give him a call in a couple of years. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, this had to happen. You saw the writing on the wall, and now let's see if the Jaguars as a franchise can put this mistake behind them, go forward, and look to compete in the National Football League. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.